Hi everyone, this is Sue Reynolds with the American Student Achievement Institute. This video is part of the Guiding All Kids video series, and the focus of this video is to prepare your school to facilitate the 5th meeting of your GAK Council. And the focus of this meeting is to come up with your root causes. So before we talk about this meeting, we are suggesting that your council members do a pre-meeting task. And I just want to show that to you real quickly. The online system will send your council members automatically an email that looks like this. So you just have to push a button and this will pop out to all of your council members. So basically the email is, thanking people for being involved, and we're telling them that the next step is root causes. And then as a reminder, we're listing here your school's root causes, your school's priority goals. So, so the priority goals that you put in prior to this step, we need to make sure that those are exactly the way you want them to be worded and the spelling's correct and all of that, because the system's going to pull those priority goals out of the online system and put them in this email. And then we're, kind of reminding folks that students may not be making these choices that are your priority choices because they lack the knowledge they need to make that choice. They have social emotional issues that are interfering with their ability to make choices in a general way, or maybe you haven't given them the opportunity to make that choice. So what we're doing here is we're asking your council members to look through these 3 data reports. So basically the instructions say open the council the root cause data reports below. And then we're telling them that while there's no individual student data in those reports, we're suggesting that because some of the data may be sensitive, that they not share this data with a newspaper or in your community or whatever. We've never had an issue with that, but we just want to ask people to be sensitive. And again, there's no individual student data in this data, so in terms of the FERPA regulations, you're fine with that. So then we're saying to your council members, as they read each of the reports in step 2, ask yourselves what could be keeping our students from making the choices that we identified above. And then when you find an answer, please write down this information on a sticky note. Excuse me. So they'd open up each one of these reports. So the guidance needs report and the student assistance needs report. This data, both sets of data, the first 2 are from the survey, and then the student opportunities data is from a self-study that your school filled out earlier. So they're reading all these data reports, and when they find something that they think, oh, maybe that's why the kids aren't making this choice, what they would do is they'd say, okay, what we found is not helping students make priority goal number 3 or 2 or whatever, and they'll get those numbers up here in the top part where we've listed all of your students' priority goals. These will be numbered for your school. So they'll write down the number of the priority goal. They'll write down which report it came from down at the bottom. They'll write down what the data point is that made them think that this is a possible root cause, and then their initials. So there could be, examples that look like something that came off the guidance report. 50% of the students don't know if the school offers college level courses. And then 50% report that stress is interfering with learning, or 50% of the students don't have an opportunity to take an AP course because we don't offer enough sections of AP in our school. So again, these are high school examples. We can very easily come up with elementary examples as well. Then after that, we're also giving, we're also asking the council members to bring these sticky notes to your next meeting. So when folks come into your meeting, they're going to have this little stack of 15, 20 sticky notes with them. Then the last thing in the memo, we have given your council members the ability to look at the drill down data. So if you have, someone who's interested in the Hispanic community, they could go in and see how Hispanic students answered these questions, or if there's somebody who's an advocate for lower income students in your community, they could go in and look at that student group report. So we never want to keep data away from your council. We're going to ask the steering team members to really dig into this, just basically to save time for your council. But we just wanted you to be aware that we have given your council these drill down reports. Okay, so your council members are coming into your meeting. The agenda looks like this. So basically, we're just doing a quick review for about 10 minutes, and then we're coming up with possible root causes. There's a really quick activity to do that, and we don't think it'll take you more than about 10 minutes. And then we'll talk about which priority goals are going to be the ones that you really hit hard next year. So the focus priority goals. And again, we have a very quick activity to help you come up with that, your thoughts about that. And then the majority of the meeting, we would like you to just have time for a discussion about, after you've looked at all the data and, thought about it, what does your council think is getting in the way of you moving toward each of your focus priority goals? So, and again, we're not doing this for all of your goals, all of your priority goals. We're going to narrow down first to just a handful of focus priority goals, and then we'll go forward to look at root causes. And then finally, at the end of the meeting, we're telling your council members that, after the meeting, the steering team is going to take some time to look at the disaggregated data and the drill down reports to see if there are guidance gaps. The council can do that too if they want to. We would love them to do that. It was just a matter of time. And then we're also letting the council know that the steering team is going to be putting some data target to the focus priority goals. And then there is a really easy homework assignment that we want them to council members to start thinking about right now. And that's just basically what could their organizations be doing to help alleviate the root causes that you've come up with. Okay, so that is an overview of the agenda very quickly. Here is the slides that would go with and support the discussion. So I'll fly through these. Okay, so cover slide, today's agenda, we're just saying that, we're doing three things. We're going to come up with the root cause parking lot, a list of things that we think might be interfering with our students' choices to be making, students' ability to be making good choices. Then we're going to select a few of your priority goals that we really want to nail hard. And there's a key question: which of our priority goals do we want to significantly impact next school year? And then we want to do a quick root cause analysis for each of your priority goals. So you're going to go in and look at each priority goal and then really look at the data big time and figure out why kids aren't making those choices. Okay, so then we're kind of going back. That was a big picture overview. Now we're going back to start really looking in depth and doing the work. So what's a root cause? A root cause is an explanation for why more students aren't making the targeted choice, and it could be that they lack knowledge, lack opportunity, or they have a social emotional issue that's interfering with their ability to make choices in a general way. Okay, so we're defining what's the root cause and making sure everybody kind of gets that. Then why do we even bother to do this step, to identify root causes? So the root causes are going to later help you focus your activities. If we know why kids aren't making the choices we want them to make, then we have a pretty good idea of what to do about it, where our activities will go. So the root causes, this step, helps us focus our activities properly to help students make the targeted choice that we want them to make. This kind of targets the activities that we're going to design later, once we know what the root causes are. So with that in mind, we're doing a quick review, and we're just reminding people that this is our impact pyramid, and then the different foundations. And I hope this slide feels good to people, because you can see we're getting near the end of the process of developing all the foundations. So this month it's root causes. And then again, we're going back to remind people that when we started this, we went big and we looked at what is every single choice that successful students tend to make in the grades that they're enrolled in your school. And we're listing all of those goals, all of those choices that successful kids tend to make. And remember, that's where we said that there would be a lot, maybe 80, 75, 80 in a high school, maybe 55-ish in a middle school, and then slightly fewer in an elementary school. But there's a lot of choices that successful kids make that result in them being successful. Okay, so then we talked about reminding folks that we have all these choices. The first thing we're talking about is which of these choices are the counselors going to address, and we drop some of those choices into the counselor's basket. Then we're talking about how today we're going to take those balls that are in the counselor's basket, or the few that might be in your community's basket right now, and we're going to say, okay, of all of those things that we're already planning to work on, they've come out of that big bin and they've gone to the counselors or gone to your community members. Of all those things that we're planning to work on, which are the few that we really want to hammer, that we want to have be totally different in terms of student choices at the end of next school year? So we would recommend that you only hammer maybe even one of your priority goals. You're going to work on all of your priority goals, but to really hammer one is fine. If you're in elementary school, for example, and what you want to do is to help every student develop a personal education plan, every kid in the building, that's pretty ambitious. And if you were to do that well, that would have a huge impact, but it's going to take some time to do. So in that case, you might only have one focus goal. So these are the few that we're really, really going to hammer. Okay, and then we're just kind of looking ahead at, again, the reason we want to know these root causes is that that's going to target our activities. So we're going to have these few choices that we're really going to hammer, and then we're going to do the root cause just for the few. And then we're going to know what activities we should put in place. And then we can also start to develop data targets. So you can see that we've got lots of things. Let me go back. We've got lots of things out of that big basket that we're going to work on. So these are the priority goals. But then we're going to hammer just a few. And we should see significant changes in the percentage of students that make that choice between right now and the end of next school year. Okay, so this is just another diagram that kind of shows this. In this diagram, we've got all of the choices that we want students to make in the outside part of the target. Then we're narrowing that down. We're saying, okay, here in the middle ring, these are all the choices that we're actually going to work on next year. But then in the middle, in the center ring, these are the things that we're really going to hammer. So another way to think about this is the energy. That the things that are on the outside, we're not worrying about working on those, and so we're not going to put any energy into helping kids make those choices. Even though we know they're good choices, we're not just going to put any energy into it right now. Then we're going to put minor energy into our priority goals. Those are the ones that we're working on. And then the hammer goals, or the focus goals, we're really going to focus, we're really going to spend some energy there. So today, what we want to try to figure out is what should these hammer goals or the focus goals, what should they be? Okay, so our tasks are, first of all, to create a possible root cause parking lot for all of our priority goals. Then we're going to identify the focus goals, the hammer goals. And then we're going to do an in-depth root cause analysis for just this few number of hammer goals. Okay, so we'll start out with the root cause parking lot. This is going to be very simple. So there's a poster in the steering team handouts and steering team manual. There's a poster that looks like this. It will, our mock-ups are just on this screen, but this poster will have your priority goals in this section. And then when people walk in, they're going to have their sticky notes, and they'll just be able to put their sticky notes up next to the goal. So remember, each sticky note has a number at the top of it. So if their sticky notes is number 1, it's going to become here next to this priority goal. If it says number 3, it's going to be next to this priority goal. So yeah, so we're just getting all the sticky notes up, and then there's your parking lot. So we will come back to this parking lot for the next 4 years as we're starting to look at, addressing more and more priority goals as hammer goals. We'll come back to this and look at, what we thought when we first looked at this data in terms of what might be keeping kids from making those choices. So we'd suggest that after you get this made, that you might even want to laminate it, this poster, or at least take a photo of it so that you can, come back and blow it up and realize what your council members said about each of the about the root causes for each of your priority goals. Okay, so at this step, we're looking at all of your priority goals. Now we need to narrow down to the hammer goals. Which ones are we really, really going to focus on? So to do that, this I think will be fairly easy. We've given you a slide that kind of talks about what is the definition of a focus priority goal or a hammer goal. Once you identify those, you're going to conduct a full force field analysis for those. You're going to establish data targets, and you're going to implement activities big time to drive this data. So these are the very few number of goals that of student choices that you really, really want to nail. So the key question is, which priority goals do we want to significantly impact next year? And this is, again, really easy to do. There's an Instagraph that will already have your priority goals in it. However many priority goals you have, you divide that number by 3. Everybody gets 3 votes, and you just stick them up there, and very easily you'll be able to see those the horizontal bar graph form as people are voting for different priority goals to become hammer goals. So after the Instagraph is finished, then you're just kind of talking it out. Number 1 was this. Everybody, can we come to consensus that that's going to be our first hammer goal? Yes. Okay. Do we have time to address another one? No. So then that's it. You're only going to have 1. Maybe. Well, let's look at some others. So yeah. So this poster is just to get that discussion started. Okay, and then for the hammer goals, now we're going to really dig in and do a root cause analysis for each of those hammer goals. So here's the question for each of the focus goals. Why aren't more students making this choice? This should say focus goal at the top, not priority. So you're looking at your first focus goal or your first hammer goal, and you're asking people to just kind of brainstorm, look back at the data that's on that root cause parking lot, look at your own observations, look at other data sets that maybe you have in your building that might inform this thinking. And then as each person speaks up and says, we think it might be that the kids don't have the opportunity because we don't offer enough sections of our highest level math in 2nd grade or 4th grade. So every time someone comes up with an idea, each person will have a copy of this at this form at their seats. And so when you're facilitating this, you'd say, okay, so number 1 was we don't offer enough sections of our highest level math in 4th grade. And then everybody would write that down next to number 1. Then, whoever's came up with another idea, that would go down to number 2. Remember that this form, there's 1 page per focus goal. So you'd write the focus goal up here. And again, I'm sorry, here's another typo. I'll fix this after I finish the video. But you'd write the focus goal up here, and then all the possible root causes everybody at their seats is writing down. Now, as they're writing down the root causes, possible root causes on this sheet, one of your steering team members is, going to go back, is writing the same thing down on this Instagraph. So, so as you're, when you're ready to start to reach consensus, again, you'll just count up how many possible root causes you have for this one focus goal, and then everybody will come up and just start voting, and you'll come up with your root causes. So you'll be able to say at this is that one of our root causes for increasing the percentage of students who choose to enroll in an AP class is that the students don't know if our school even offers AP. That's huge. And then you'll say, so we've got that root cause, we've got this root cause. So you're going to identify the main root causes for why students aren't making the choice that you've identified as your hammer goals or your focus goals. So, okay, I'm going to go back. To help lead this discussion as you're brainstorming, these are slides, the next few slides that you could use or not use. I think if I were doing it, I would use these slides just to kind of prompt everybody. I would say to the group, first, let's think about that students aren't, this focus goal that students aren't choosing to enroll in an AP class. So, or enroll in your highest level math in your elementary school or whatever it is. Okay, so what you could do is you could prompt folks, first let's think about knowledge. Do students, what do students need to know to make this choice? And do they know it? What evidence do we have that they know that or they don't know it? So, then people that have read all the data might say, well, students will, need to know that we even offer an upper level math class in 4th grade and an upper level math curriculum, and and how they might get into that. And so you're just kind of brainstorming the knowledge. Now, there's a couple of things that you can kind of point to as you're having this discussion about knowledge. One is the guidance sticky notes in the root cause parking lot. Remember, the guidance statements are all about knowledge. So was there anything in here that indicated that students lacked knowledge that they needed? Also, if you remember, a month ago, we asked you to come up with knowledge statements for each of your priority goals. So as a steering team member, you could also be thinking, yeah, we said that for kids to make this choice, they needed to know A, B, and C, and then you could bring that into the discussion as well. Our steering team, as we brainstormed this, we thought that kids might need to know this and this. So, and then do they know it? What evidence do you have that the kids have this knowledge or don't have this knowledge? Okay, and then the next slide would do the same thing, except we're prompting opportunities. What opportunities do kids need in order to make this choice? If they, again, if you're looking at enrolling kids in a high-level, high-ability curriculum in your elementary school or your middle school, and you don't offer enough sections of that curriculum to get all the students in it, then you've got an opportunity issue. All the students in it that could benefit from it. And again, what we can consider here to help with this is the sticky notes in the root cause parking lot. And then the same thing with social emotional concerns. This slide prompts that, and we're looking at the sticky notes in the root cause parking lot. Okay, so then I talked about this. So we've got all the possible root causes listed for this one focus goal. And then we're just going to have everybody select the third at their seats. They would select a third and then go to the Instagraph and put their choices up there. One thing I just want to make sure that you realize this is that I think I would go into this meeting having like 6 of these sheets per person. That way, if everybody can have one sheet per focus goal, you might have some sheets left over if you end up with only one focus goal. But I think you'd rather be over-prepared than under-prepared. So 5 or 6 sheets, 5 or 6 copies of this should do it, I think, in terms of having enough to develop each of your focus goals. Okay, so then we're just letting the council know that after today, the steering team will review the force field drill down reports, and you'll be looking for any guidance gaps. You'll be saying, is it all, once you know the root causes, you'll be saying, is it all kids that this is a root cause, impacts, or is it just some kids? And so you'll kind of be looking at that drill down report to help you understand which groups of students are making choices at a lesser rate than their peers, if that exists at all. In a lot of schools, that tends to be the free and reduced lunch kids, but not in all schools. In some schools, the programming is really great for those students, and they actually make better choices. So yeah, we'll just kind of see what your data says. And then on number 2, you're saying to folks, we'll also establish data targets. We will have baseline data for our focus priority goals, and then we'll set targets. We'll say if that data is at 30% right now, where do we want it to be a year from now? And we'll set a target. And then finally, once we've done those 2 things, we will send to the council members a copy of the Focus Priority Goals report. That report lists your focus priority goals. It also lists the root causes for each of them and the data targets for each of them. So it's one report. You don't have to create it. You just push a button and it will come out after you've done all the data entry. So okay, and then very last thing, we're saying to the council, okay, we kind of know now what we think is getting in the way of kids making the choices that we want them to make. Be thinking about what activities could your place of employment do, or a community organization that you belong to. What could they do to help students make those focused choices, those targeted choices? So, at this point, we're kind of being invitational. Next year we're going to work on that a lot in terms of getting your community organizations involved in driving the curriculum as well as your school. But this, we're asking them, we're getting started in a small way with your council. And your council members then will become, we call them partners, your first partners in delivering these activities. And then they will be kind of role models for other community organizations next year when we start to build on that part of Guiding All Kids. So, okay, that's it. The only last thing is to show you where all these documents are. So if I open up your website, so this is the page that you see when you log in. I'm going to go to the Manual tab, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to the root cause discussion, which is right here. So here's the handouts for the council, and then here are the documents that you need behind the scenes in order to facilitate the meeting. And keep in mind that you cannot share these, some of these school to school, because they're individualized for your school. So the Instagraph and the root cause parking lot, those are individualized for your school. So okay, I think that's it. Feel free to edit any of this so that it meets the needs of your school. We're just trying to do some of the groundwork to save you time. If you like our resources, use them. If you'd like to facilitate this meeting a different way, that's fine also. Just keep in mind, if we go back to the very first slide here, that we're wanting to do 3 things at this meeting. So whatever agenda you use, we need to come out with a root cause parking lot for every one of your priority goals. We need to know which goals you're going to really hammer within the priority goals. And then we need to know for each of your hammer goals, for each focus goal, what's getting in the way? Why aren't kids choosing that choice? So those are the three things. You can use our resources, use other resources, as long as we're coming up with the piece, the outcome of the intent of the meeting. It's fine to change the agenda and make this fit your style and your needs. So, okay, I think that's it. Thanks, everyone, and please give us a call if you get stuck or you need help walking through and thinking about this. Thanks so much.